How you doing, YouTube? This is Gonna Restart in 67, bringing you another YouTube video. Today's YouTube video is gonna be bug out bag myths. We're gonna go ahead and debunk some bug out bag myths that are out there. All right, so what you have right in front of you is my 511 Rush 100 pack. This is the pack that I will utilize if I ever have to bug out, regardless of what transpires. I live here in North Florida, so the big thing that happens here every single year are hurricanes. So this is what I'll be taking. All right. I do have a video of my current bug out bag, the contents of this bug out bag. I posted them last video. Go over there and take a look at and see what's in there. It's titled Bug Out Bag 2025. All right. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right. The first myth that I hear all the time in regards to bug out bags is preppers are going to go ahead and take their bug out bag and they're going to head to the hills or head to the woods. That is a huge myth. Whatever you do, do not do that. Do not head to the hills or head out to the woods with your bug out bag thinking that you are going to be all right when SHTF kicks off. So, and the reason why I say that is because if you do not have a bona fide bug out location to go to in the woods or in the hills, don't go. If you don't have extreme training and experience surviving in the woods or the hills, don't go. Because when you bug out to just the hills or the woods, you are setting yourself up for failure. You need to go to a location that you know very well, that has supplies and that has some type of protection from the elements, and then also from the surrounding area. Prime example, with me, I live here in North Florida. I've said it dozens of times, probably well over 100 times on all my videos. And here it is hot, it is humid during this time of year. We're in the middle of June. It's hot, it's humid, the sun's beating down on you, but at any given moment, it can start raining. So I need to find a place that can go ahead and shield me from the sun, the heat, and the humidity. I need a place that has a place that has an abundant water source, and a place, once my supplies start running out, I can go ahead and forage for food and hunt for food. I am very lucky that I have a bug out location to go to that has all of those wickets covered. And it is near the woods. It's on the back road of a back road, nestled right up next to a state forest. So all of those things I have covered. So again, the first bug out bag myth is heading to the hills or headed to the woods. Don't do it unless you have a plan. The second bug out bag myth we're going to go ahead and debunk is, I hear this all the time as well, that I can go ahead and hunt and forage for all the food I will ever need with just what's in my bug out bag. All right. To be fair, there are some people that can do that. But these are individuals that have thousands of hours of training, and they've sat down there and they've spent thousands of hours out in the woods, the hills, the jungles, things like that. These are the true survivalists. Individuals like Cody Lundeen. He was on, what was it, Soul or Dual Survivor? A gentleman like that, or a lady like that, could potentially do that because they have the skills, they've got the experience, and to do all of those things. The average person does not. When you start talking about hunting and foraging, There's a theory that comes to mind. It's called the theory of diminishing returns. And what I mean by that is, if you have an individual that is well versed in hunting and foraging, and they are familiar with the area, the wildlife, all of those things, and they go out with their bug out bag, they can go ahead and have a subsistence type lifestyle, but only to a point. And that's when the theory of diminishing returns comes into play, because with that, you go out, like my bug out bag here, I take my 22 long rifle, and I only have so many rounds to shoot squirrels, rabbits, birds, raccoons, anything like that. And in my larger gauge weapons, I only have so many bullets. And even if you have quite a few bullets, you are going to run out of game eventually. You're going to have to push further and further and further out to go ahead and collect some type of food source. Even if you have a body of water near where you're at and you can fish, once you start harvesting game in that area, whether it's wild game or fish, the animals are going to catch on to that and they're going to relocate. The animals aren't stupid. They are going to understand what's going on, and they're going to migrate to another location where they're not systematically being picked off as food. So, and it's in the theory of diminishing returns covers more than just harvesting wild game. It's also with collecting firewood. You're going to go ahead and most people are going to go ahead and take the standing dead wood first, closest to them, so that way they're expending the least amount of energy. And then as they collect that standing dead wood, they're going to go further and further and further out in order to collect that. And you get to a point where you're having to go so far out and you're burning so many calories and you're consuming so much time that the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So the myth of you can hunt and forage for all the food that you will ever need with just what's in your bug out bag, it's exactly what it is. It's a myth. Don't have that mindset. So that is bug out bag myth number 2. Bug out bag myth number 3. I hear this probably more than any of these other myths. Actually, not quite, but pretty close. I have everything I will ever need in my bug out bag. I hear that all the time. And it's usually from people that maybe go camping once in a while, or they go to the gun range a lot, or they sit back and they've went on hunts every now and then. I will tell you right now, you don't have everything you need in your bug out bag. Case in point, you go look back at the westward expansion into the United States. You have the pioneers in the 1800s that took hundreds of pounds of food, supplies, equipment, ammunition, firearms, anything you can think of. They had oxen, horses, mules. They had all the things that you can think of, and they've tried to expand west. They got to where they were going, if they were lucky, and they still wound up failing. They still wound up dying. They still wound up starving. A prime example is the Donner Party that tried to do the expansion westward, and they wound up getting caught in the mountains during the winter, and they wound up having to eat all of their livestock. They ran through all of their supplies, and then they started eating each other after people had passed away. So trust me when I tell you that if those pioneers that could carry hundreds of pounds of supplies and equipment and gear have issues doing it, chances are ordinary people like me and you are going to not be able to do it as well. So that was the bug out bag myth number 3. I have everything that I will ever need in my bug out bag. The 4th myth of bug out bags is more skills, less stuff. Now what I mean by that, actually let me backtrack. More skills, less stuff. I hear this all the time, and it's mainly from the bushcrafting community. If you're a bushcrafter, I apologize, but I hear this from you ladies and gentlemen all the time. Now, what that means is I always hear from individuals that say that are in the bushcraft community or that are minimalists when it comes to bug out bags and bugging out, is that learn the skills that you need in order to survive. That way you can carry less stuff. Now, in my opinion, that is a terrible thing to tell a prepper, at least in the beginning. Now, getting the skills that you need to survive, that way you don't have to carry as much gear, has some merit. And I will explain why. The best thing that I can explain is building a fire. When you learn the skills on how to make a friction fire, that is an outstanding skill. You can go ahead and take the materials that you collect out in the bush, out in your surrounding areas, and you can shape them into a fireboard, a drill, drill block, and you get some tinder and you go ahead and you start spinning that drill onto that fireboard, and you can create an ember and you can start a fire. That is an invaluable skill. But in order to get all that, it will take you hours to do. And I will debate this with anyone. I live here in North Florida, like I said before. And here right now, today, the humidity is 92% humidity. It is 95 degrees out. If I would go ahead and spend all that time and effort into making a bow drill kit and to try to use it, it would waste so much time and effort. I would sit down there and get dehydrated, and I would have to consume a buttload of water. I'd spend an hour or two just making the fireboard, making the drill block and the drill itself, and then not to mention going and creating the cordage to wrap around a bow to put the drill inside the bow. So I could go ahead and save all of that time and bring some paracord, bring a lighter, bring a candle, bring a fire steel, and I can go ahead and create a fire in a fraction of the time it would take to go ahead and create fire out of the natural resources. It comes down to time, and it comes down to caloric expenditures and your resources that you're going to expel. To me, that's what it comes down to. And fire building is a perfect example for it. So learning these skills is good if you are in a plane crash and you crash and you're on a deserted island and you have no choice but to make a fire out of the things you're surrounding, or how to learn how to make a knife out of rocks by flint knapping or stone knapping, or how to make a primitive bow or primitive spear. These are all skills that are fantastic, but 99% of people that get caught in survival situations, or they have to bug out and be in a survival situation, the best thing for them is to have the gear. Now, I'm not saying bring everything in the kitchen sink. When you're bugging out, you want to select your items, preferably have them do more than just one roll, having dual rolls or even 3 rolls. That way you do minimize your gear, but you want to have all of the life-sustaining gear and equipment. That way you can recreate the things that are going to sustain you. You don't want to just say, okay, I can build a fire and not bring a fire steel, a lighter, or some petroleum jelly soaked cotton balls. You want to bring those things. So That is the fourth bug out bag myth. More skills, less stuff. And the fifth and final bug out bag myth is, and I hear this is the thing that I hear all the time, and it is such a huge myth. I watched a video on YouTube and I know how to do it now. That is the biggest myth I hear when it deals with bug out bags and bugging out. I watched a video on how to start a fire without matches, without a lighter, without a ferro rod, without flint and steel. Okay, have you went out there and tried to do it in your area? No, but I watched a video on YouTube. That is a recipe for disaster. Don't do that. It is great that you watched a how-to video on how to do something. It gives you in your mind a starting point on how to do something. But there's a huge difference between knowledge and the application of knowledge. Like I said before, with fire building, we sit down there and watch these things on Alone or Dual Survivor or Naked and Afraid or Bear Grylls, and they start shaping out a fireboard and a bow drill set and a drill block, and in 5 minutes they've got a roaring fire. That is not the case. These are individuals that have spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours in numerous different climates and places doing that exact same thing in wet climates and cold climates and arid climates. All of those places where they've sat down there and trained how to make a fire, and they've been successful. Again, 99% of people cannot do that in all of those different locations. So I commend you for seeking out the knowledge and watching a YouTube video. It is a start, but you gotta go out there and you gotta practice it. You gotta go out there, and I would even challenge you to go out there in the rain and try to make a fire. Hell, try to do it with a ferro rod. Try to do it with a lighter, and you will be surprised at how many times that you will fail before you actually get a lighter. And then once you keep failing, you're going to learn from it. That way, when you get into that situation where you have to light a fire or something really bad is going to happen, you will be able to do it. So, number 5, I watched the video on YouTube and I know how to do it now. All right. So, just to rehash some of these bug out bag myths. The first one, you're headed to the woods or headed for the hills. You can hunt and forage for all the food you will ever need with just what's in your bug out bag. I have everything I will ever need in my bug out bag. More skills, less stuff. And I watched a video on YouTube and I know how to do it now. These are all the biggest myths in regards to bugging out and in conjunction with your bug out bag. Do not fall for any of these myths. Get out there, do the training, get these skills, acquire some of this equipment that expedites these life-giving and life-sustaining activities like building a fire, hunting, creating shelters, all of these things. Do these things. Try to get a bug out location. Know your area. Learn the plants of your area. Know the games of your area. Do all of these things to go ahead and avoid these big bug out bag myths and bugging out myths. All right, that's about it for today, YouTube. If you like this video, please go ahead and hit that like button. And then also share this video. If you like this content, please hit that subscribe button. In the comments below, let me know what you like, what you don't like. This is Gunnery Sergeant 67. I'm out.